Ladies and gentlemen, good evening wherever you are. Welcome to our Unibet Cheltenham Festival preview. I'm Mark Pougatch and we have festival-winning trainers and jockeys everywhere you look on our panel this evening, and they are very welcome as you are as we look forward to a festival, I think probably more than ever before, because we'll have spectators back at Cheltenham next week. We have Nicky Henderson next to me, who's trained 70 festival winners, a wealth of experience which we will draw upon. Nico de Boinville's ridden 13 festival winners and 31 Grade 1 winners, which is more than any current British jump jockey. Lizzie Kelly, the first female jockey to win a Grade 1 chase, and 2 festival winners. And Jamie Codd joins us from Ireland, leading Irish amateur with 10 festival winners to his name. So lots to look forward to, lots to discuss, and Brett Williams from Unibet as well, who's going to give us boosts and offers. What have you got for us then as we look ahead to Tuesday in particular, Brett?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Good evening, everyone here from the betting corner. Lots of really good offers for you this evening in, of course, the world of Unibet. Looking forward to 4 brilliant days at, of course, the home of National Hunt Racing. And we are giving you the opportunity to win 2 tickets to Unibet Champion Hurdle Day on the very first day. All you've got to do is go on to @Unibet Racing on Twitter and retweet our pinned tweet, and we'll announce a winner at random at the end of this evening's preview. We're also top price all runners in the Unibet Champion Hurdle from this very second, so make sure you go on to unibet.co.uk to avail to those enhanced odds. Now, it's not just that. We always like to give you a little bit extra here with Unibet, and we are going to be giving you the chance to take advantage of a flash boost. We're going to be giving you 3 horses on each day, and you can decide which horse you'd like to take advantage of for those best odds. And we will kick off with day 1, of course. The Supreme Novice Hurdle kicks off those 4 brilliant days of horse racing action. Nicky Henderson, our Unibet ambassador, has won the race 4 times before. He's got the second favourite in this year's race in the shape of Constitution Hill, who is currently a 9-4 shot. But we are giving you the chance to back him at 3-1. If that doesn't take your fancy, what about Edwardstone? Alan King's won the Arkle twice before with Voiper Stayers and My Way to Solzen. Edwardstone has 2-1 chance at the moment with Unibet, but we're going to give you the chance to take 7-2. Honeysuckle, can she gain back-to-back victories in the Unibet Champion Hurdle? She's currently a 4-7 chance. What about even money? Does that float your boat? Go on to @Unibet Racing to take advantage of those flash boosts and pick which horse you want to choose to get those enhanced odds. As I said, @Unibet Racing on Twitter, and we'll announce the winner in a few minutes' time, Mark.
Brett, thank you very much indeed. Let's start at the beginning. A very good place to start, Nicky. What potentially the race of the festival, the Supreme Novices Hurdle?
Well, I think it's going to set the scene for the week. It always does, in fairness. I think we all look forward to that, as you say, crowds back. That roar is going to be tremendous this year, isn't it?
I think it's going to be louder than ever, I think,
I think it will be very, very loud. And, but it's a fascinating race to open the batting, and I think it sets the scene for the week. After last year's rather demoralising drubbing that the English trainers took, I won't go into it. We're determined to sort of try and get these numbers back on to the parity. So the first thing we've got to do is win the first race. We want that scored. It's got to be 1-love after the first race. I hope we're strong. I think we are. I think these are 2 very good horses, Constitution Hill and John Bon. And it's interesting, you know, it's only in the last 2 days that one of them hasn't been favourite in the whole of the last year. Now, that just tells you what Ireland's strengths are, and they're going to be hard to beat. But these are 2, these are as smart as we've had for, I can't tell you it's another Altior or Shishkin or whatever, but I'd be disappointed if they aren't somewhere near it.
They're different characteristics, though, aren't they? They've got very different characters.
You couldn't, the chalk and cheese completely. One just sleeps and eats. If you're going for a walk, well, it's tailed off. If they're trotting around the school, it's tailed off. I mean, and I rang Barry Geraghty and I bought him. I said, Barry, you've either got the wrong horse or you sold me a pup. And then I get a picture of his 3-year-old daughter sitting on this as an unbroken 3-year-old. He said, it was always like this.
And that's Constitution Hill,
that's
the one with the laid
Constitution
back
Hill, yeah.
approach.
And he's just But then just suddenly one morning he was working behind a couple of horses. I said, well, somebody just give this some sort of a wake-up call. And the next thing, Charlie Morlock and I were stood on top of the hill, and it disappeared over the horizon and gone. Extraordinary. John Bon is the opposite. He's just always a little bit of a fidget. I've always said I think we suit each other. Not a lot of standing still, just always on it. But he's been very good. And they've both had unbeaten, ideal preparations. And now we find out who's what. And the good thing is I'm the lucky person that doesn't have to decide which is the better. Nico does, everybody else probably does. But I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to have the two.
So, Nicky, you're going to be on Constitution Hill, yes?
I will be, yeah.
Yep. And we just heard from Brett 9 to 4. So what's your reading of your laid-back ride in the first race?
As the boss has just said, he is very laid back. He's very, very professional. Is how he takes in the whole race day, how he is on the race course as well. He jumps very well. I think he's not ground dependent. He's very versatile that way. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Lizzie, if I say there are a lot of Irish horses to choose from, I think we could say that and just put it on tape for every single race. We'll go to Jamie in a second. What's your view, obviously, of Nicky's two, but we've got Mullins and Elliott horses here, maybe up to half a dozen serious contenders from Ireland for this race as well.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for John Bon. I think because of his price tag and his relationship, or his breeding, he's a horse that people like to pick holes in. I think that he can't sort of win well enough for people to be satisfied, and I do think that's a bit of a shame. I really like the horse. I like Constitution Hill as well. So Gerhard obviously won the champion bumper last year. I'm not entirely convinced by his latest performance at Leopardstown. I thought it was a little bit sort of haphazard. He didn't particularly jump in the way that I would like. I think if you're really picking holes at this sort of level, and for me, I preferred Dysart Dynamo. I thought he was the sort of horse I like to, you like to ride. He was forward going, jumped really well. And I think that he was sort of quite exciting. They targeted him to the Moscow Flyer, the Grade 2, that has been won by Kicking King, Vitor, Duvan, proper horses. And I just thought he looked strong and powerful, whereas perhaps Sir Gerhard, if you were really picking holes in him, looked a little bit sort of gangly and loose almost. But like I say, you're picking holes in the best that both countries have got to offer, and I think if I was looking for value on a bet, I would probably go for Dysart Dynamo.
Jamie, come in then. What is your view from your side of the water on this one?
Hi guys, thanks for having me. Delighted to be on the show. I have to agree with a little bit what Lizzie says about John Bon, really. I think her points there were very interesting as regards just because he had a massive price tag, and the relation obviously to Duvan. He's a horse that people are always going to try and nitpick at and try and find something wrong, whereas, he hasn't done much wrong. I thought he's been quite impressive. He's done everything really, really well. And I thought maybe the ground in Haydock the last day, I've rode in Haydock a couple of times, and just from me knowing the track, the ground can get quite tacky and deep there, and it's hard work. It's a long straight, and it's very, very hard work. So, I don't believe that horse has done much wrong. But you can also say that for Constitution Hill. You can say it for Sir Gerhard, Dysart Dynamo, even the likes of Kilcroat, Mighty Potter. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic race. The crowd back, as Nicky said, I just cannot wait to hear the roar from the crowd and see what happens. It will be very interesting to see how Dysart Dynamo handles the crowd. He's a very, very headstrong horse, and I would be, the early stages of that race, going down to the Star Parade Ring and all, it's going to be a bit of an unknown for him, whereas Sir Gerhard has been there. And you might say the same about John Bon, I suppose. If Nicky said he's a bit fidgety, it'll be interesting to see how he'll take all that in as well. So I like Dysart Dynamo. I think he's a very, very good horse. But I cannot get away from Nicky Henderson saying Constitution Hill is as good. When he speaks, we listen, and usually when he does speak, he delivers, and that's enough for me. So I'm a big Constitution Hill fan.
Nicky, do you look at the two Mullins horses as the biggest threats to your two? The two leading Mullins horses.
I think
in this?
you have to, when the betting tells you that's what they. I mean, we don't actually know, and I'm sure Willie does, but he's not giving a lot away at the moment. That, I mean, he has got, I think he had 20-something entries in the race. So, I mean, you wouldn't even. He will obviously try and split his squad up. We are not. I mean, these two are both running in the Supreme, as far as I know. That's that. I mean, it would have been a temptation to try and push one into the Ballymore, and I have no doubt both would have stayed 2.5 if necessary, wouldn't they, Nico? I mean, you wouldn't have worried about if somebody said, right, you're out, you're going there. It wouldn't matter. But they've both got real pace. So they're going to, this is where we set out, and and you're right, John Bon is he has got to get through the preliminaries, yes. He's settled down quite a lot since we started, I think. Whereas the other fella nearly had to wake up quite a lot from where we started.
You won't worry about the preliminaries, your fella, then?
No, he will not.
At all. If anything, they'll benefit him, I think.
Yeah. I think that'll get him on his toes. It's going to be a fascinating start, because I say the one thing we've got to do is we've got to defend the British honour, and Henrietta Knight isn't here tonight to tell us that we're no good. So that we've got to try and prove something. So at least we need to see. I think our great chances are really, if we can be 1 love up, then you're going to come to the Arkle,
Yes.
2 Edwardstone.
Yes.
I'm sure going to come on to, I'm sure, 2 love.
2 love. Well,
He's
the Irish,
be.
out of the 28 races, they have 19 outright favourites, the Irish.
Out.
Yeah, there we go. So, well, listen, you mentioned it. So hopefully 1 love, and then maybe 2 Edwardstone. Let's go on to the Arkle then, Lizzie. What about Edwardstone before we talk about Riviere d'Etal with Jamie? What about Alan King's horse, the favourite here?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Edwardstone. He's a horse that we saw a lot as a handicap hurdler, and I like that about him. He's quite battle hardened. He's run in plenty of, those very hot, competitive handicap hurdles, and always put in decent performances. If anything, Alan King said to me recently that he was always too keen in his races, so he had to be further back than they initially would have wanted, which obviously made the riding of the race more difficult. So perhaps he's almost like a little bit unexposed in a way, because he's always had to be further back than they would want, and so life's more tricky in those sorts of races if you're a hold-up horse. I think he's won all of his races this season, apart from that one where he was brought down, and I think he's looked classier and an easier ride. He's settled a lot more for running over fences, and I just don't think he's done anything wrong, and I think he warrants being favourite. But there is that niggling doubt. Does he have the class of some of these Irish horses? I think obviously Riviere d'Etal also has the benefit of the allowance as well. I think she probably would have won the last day had it not been for that mistake. But I do think Edwardstone looked pretty impressive at Warwick last time. I liked the way that down the back straight, I think it was either 3 or 4 out, he jumped the fence, he was half a length down, he landed half a length up. It almost looked a bit like plain sailing from there on in. That was the moment in the race where he was in control. I like the fact you can kind of put him anywhere in the race. that will be a help at Cheltenham. Always is. If you can put your horse sort of anywhere, it means that if plan A for some reason goes out of the window, you know, plan B is still a perfectly fine plan. And I like the fact that he's sort of tried and tested. You know, they've had an aggressive campaign with him this year. They've not got, you know, there's sort of nothing, they haven't hidden anything. It's all out there, and
it's all saying, come and beat us if you can.
Yeah,
sort of
and I like that. It's been an aggressive campaign. He's you know, he's basically ticked all the boxes going into this race, and obviously Alan King's had 2 previous winners of the race as well, in My Way to Solden and Void Porous Steaders. So he sort of, you know, he knows what those sorts of races require.
Nico, what do you think then, Edwardstone?
Big fan of him. I really like the way how he's been finishing his races a lot better this year than he has in previous years. He seems to have strengthened up a good deal. And yeah, I think he's got a great chance.
You a fan?
Very much so. I mean, I'm hopeful from Kingy's point of view and our own point of view. It's a funny Arkle. I don't think there's a sort of standout sort of superstar. Sadly, you know, we've got nothing. But again, a little bit of, there mightn't be the strongest horses England's ever thrown at it, but I don't think the race overall is a standout. I can't see a future superstar in here, if you know what I mean. But there'll still be a good one to win. It'll be a tough race.
Jamie, what about Riviere d'Etal for Gordon Elliott then? Where are you looking from the Irish Challenge on this? Do you start there?
Yeah, I think you have to start there. You know, at Leopardstown, I suppose it's very interesting. We would have said her biggest asset was her jumping, and ultimately it was her jump at the last that kind of got her beat the last day. So, yeah, look at she's a very, very good mare. She's turned up plenty this year. Her form is very strong. Obviously, Blue Lord came down last year in the Supreme Novices, going to be a good second to Appreciate It. But the form of the Supreme last year hasn't worked out, and Nicky has hit the nail on the head. This isn't the strongest Arkle that's been ever run around Cheltenham. So, you know, I don't know, Edwardstone, he's a lovely horse. Obviously, has been quite impressive in what he's been doing, but I just still can't have him. You know, I think you're going to look for something maybe there, maybe down the field. I really, really like Course Sublime. He was second in a Triumph Hurdle. He's a good, hardy horse. He just lacked that, you know, he turned up as a second season hurdler, but just lacked that bit of quality to be there. But in an Arkle like this, he's a good jumper. He won very well in Gorn the last day. I think at 14-1 for an each way bet, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Course Sublime 12s at the moment. You could get 14s, as Jamie says. Let's go on to the Champion Hurdle, sponsored by Unibet then. Nicky, come on then. 8 times you've won this race. What about making it 9 with Epatante getting back to 2020 winning ways? How is Epatante for a start, particularly after what happened, a good run at Christmas?
She's been good. We set out this year with one mission. JP said, well, look, we're not going to win the Champion Hurdle. And so we said, let's try and win the Fighting Fifth and the Christmas Hurdle. We nearly pulled it off. We had to halve the Fighting Fifth, but we won the Christmas Hurdle. Nico rode her in the Christmas Hurdle, and I thought she was fantastic. She tanked through the race, didn't she? And her jumping was back to where she was 2 years ago when she won the Champion Hurdle. And to beat Honeysuckle is going to be very, very difficult. But she is somewhere back to her Champion Hurdle winning self. She's hurdling like her old self, isn't she? And she's happy in herself. But we've got a massive task. But we're happy. She's better than she was last year, and she was third. If we're second, great. If we win the Unibet Champion Hurdle, we will be more than happy. She's in good form. I mean, that's all we can do.
Is a serious horse, you know, 7-4 on at the
Honeysuckle
moment.
is adorable and admirable, and she has just done absolutely nothing wrong the whole way through. And I think it's very interesting that even when you look at it last year, and there's been a lot of talk all the way through about where these horses are all coming from, where Alan got all these horses, and we've got a lot of good horses too. But it just shows how the Irish point-to-point season sort of works out, that everything last year and again so far this year, Honeysuckle came from a point-to-point. And you wouldn't expect the champion hurdler probably to come out of the point-to-point field. And it's a funny, it's how the balance has moved over, and everybody's saying, why have they got these horses, or why haven't we got these horses, or what are we doing wrong? Epatante came from France, which is where we used to be buying them all. And she's an absolute honey, Epatante. She's done everything right all her life, and we're going to just have to do the best we can. It could easily be a race for the girls. The £7 allowance is pretty valuable. It could easily be a girls' one too.
Nico, obviously we mentioned Honeysuckle, got to appreciate it. Won the Supreme last year, not run this year, so that's an interesting one as well. Appreciate second in the betting, 7-2. Teahupoo, Gordon Elliott as well. What have we got up there, 7-1? How do you look at it?
It's hard to see past Honeysuckle, but obviously Willie knows how to get these horses ready, and I'm sure there's been reasons why he hasn't run. Appreciate it, but if he can get one ready first time up, it's him. But I'm firmly in the Epatante camp, and I'd love to see her do well.
Jamie, how do you look at this?
I think I look at it. It's a race I just want to see Honeysuckle win, to be honest. I love her. I think she's fantastic for racing. Herself and Rachel and Henry's done a marvellous job, like 14 straight wins and 11 grade ones, or I think in around that. So it's a marvellous training achievement as well. I think you're trying to look for something to be second, really. If Honeysuckle turns up in good form, Honeysuckle wins, in my opinion. I think if you're looking for something to be second, I think you're looking for, as Nicky said, an Epatante. Our horse, Teahupoo, he's coming in maybe under the radar. He is, he's gone the same route as kind of an Espar Allen, kind of the time Gavin Cromwell won the champion hurdle with him. So he could be an improver. We don't know how good he is yet. His work and all is very, very good. So if I was looking for something that might be second, I'd be hoping that maybe an improving horse like him that hasn't had a very hard trial this year yet, maybe he might be just the one to chase her home.
Is there any reason why you would oppose Honeysuckle?
I feel a bit sort of cold-hearted saying this, because I do really like Honeysuckle, fan favourite. Of course, you love watching her win, but I sort of feel like it would be good to see just something try and go with her a bit more, like just shake up this division a little bit. I still want to see her win, but if there were 3 jumping the last, it would make it a bit more exciting. I agree. I think Teahupoo's the horse that's sort of been working a little bit backstage, picking up grade 2s, grade 3s, beating nice horses like Quilixios, Jeff Kidder. I really like Adagio, and that's like, he's quite a big price. He finished second in the Wincanton trial to Goshen. But I think he's quite a noble little horse. Like, he's run big races carrying, big weights, and I just quite like him. I think as an each way, you're looking at it from a different angle, aren't you? There's no point backing Honeysuckle. So if you're coming at it from a different angle, I probably would. Probably would go with Adagio. He's got a course form, and a couple of bob each way. Just have a bit of fun watching him and hope that Honeysuckle wins.
Just a final one on this from a trainer's point of view. We'd appreciate not running this season yet for a variety of reasons. Is there inevitably a little bit of the unknown about that, or was winning the Supreme last year and all the form there make you, if you were Willie Mullins, not be so concerned about a non-appearance so far?
I think to me it was a big disappointment that we thought we were going to see appreciated in the Dublin Racing Festival, and then he's missed that. And we all understand, I can tell you what it's like when you don't miss races just because you feel like missing races. You've obviously, they've had a difficult time. But in these days, you can get these horses fit. I'll bet you he's been to some extraordinary places in the meantime. Racecourses all round Hull and everywhere. He'll be fit. He'll be match fit too. And make no mistake, I don't think he's a, it was just a pity we didn't get that. If he could have matched up with Honeysuckle, then we'd have had a lot more.
Because that's what inevitably that's what we want as punters, don't we?
I
And then
think
we
we
want to
were
be able to
all
follow
looking.
that form through.
That was the one we were all looking forward to, and didn't get to see. So she had a pretty simple task. He wasn't there. Now he has a difficult task. It's still hard to come out first time out and do this, but make no mistake, Willie's not left a stone unturned before this. He isn't turning up for place money, I can tell you.
What a race that's going to be. The Unibet Champion Hurdle, third race on day one. As we go to the Mares Hurdle, Marie's Rock, you're going in the Mares. That's the plan?
That is the plan.
Yeah. And what did you say about Marie's Rock?
We thought 2 years ago we were going to win the Mares Novice Hurdle. And she was well at the front of that, and then she went wrong literally the week before. Last year, never saw her. I mean, she never showed up at any stage, at home or on the racecourse. But luckily this year, we've upped her in trip. I don't think that was everything. I think she's just come back a different girl. Absolutely flew in the first time. Slightly surprised us, didn't he? We weren't quite expecting what we saw. And she was brilliant at Kemp's. And then Nico rode him in the Lanzarote, and unfortunately just bumped into the back of a horse at the first hurdle, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the first one fell and then took me out.
And that was race over. She then went to Warwick for a listed, was it listed? Yeah. Well, it was listed or great, I don't know. And she was very impressive. And she just galloped very strongly through the line. She was going away and away and away and away, and she was pretty good. I think the trip's going to suit her. I'm not going to tell you she's going to win, but I think she comes into she's in the pot, and she's in very good form.
What'd you say?
Yeah, very similar. I was really looking forward to her novice career, and it was a shame that she didn't get there. And last year was just a sort of non-event, but this year she's come back to herself. The boss has been very patient with her, taken her time, and she just seems to have been reinvigorated.
Kenny Alexander has got Tell Me Something Girl, Jamie, who's the 5-2 favourite, who owns Honeysuckle as well. So what chance has Kenny Alexander got of a quick double, do you think, on Tuesday?
Yeah, look, he definitely has a chance with this mare. You know, her run behind Royal Kahala at Leopardstown the last day, Royal Kahala came out and won in Gorn. She won a Galmoy in Gorn after. And, you know, she's not without her chance in a stayers hurdle if there was a bit of juice in the ground. So, you know, if that form comes to the table, she's definitely a mare to keep on side, you know, and she's also has that course form from last year. So, you know, it's a muddling race. I suppose Concertista for Willie, she has the option of going here or the Mare's Chase. I'm not really sure where she goes yet. Stormy Island is a very solid mare. Obviously Nicky has spoke about his. I really like our filly here, Queensbrook from Gordon's. She was third in a champion bumper, beaten by Fernie Hollow and Appreciated. And last year was a little bit of a hit and miss year for her. She just, I don't know what it was. She seemed to start off well, but she just didn't hit the heights that we thought she was going to get to. But this year she seems way better, seems really well in herself. She's very, very strong. We know she stays. Her pedigree would suggest she will stay well. And I thought she had a lovely run behind Burning Ambition the last day at Punchestown. So, you know, at a bit of a price in this, I really think if she comes back to a little bit of form, she could shake up this one.
Lizzie, you got a view on the Mare's Hurdle?
Yeah, I really like Burning Victory for Willie Mullins. She ran a good race in the Grade 1 Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown. That was over 3 miles behind Classical Dream and Flooring Porter. Obviously, Classical Dream got away at the start and sort of slightly, the rest of them were slightly sort of trying to catch up. So she had quite a lot of ground to make up even by the first. And I think that she possibly didn't quite get home in that either. I think the step back down to 2 mile 4 will be a bonus for her. She's the horse that won the Triumph when Goshen tipped up. Obviously wouldn't have won if not for that. But yeah, I think she's got some that third behind those two. I think is pretty good form, and I'm not overly convinced by Tell Me Something Girl, so I wouldn't mind having something that was a bit bigger.
Let's just wrap up the rest of Tuesday then. Jamie, in the National Hunt Chase, Braeside for Gordon you've got, is that right?
Yeah, I think I'm on Braeside at the minute. I'm not sure whether there'll be a change in that. He's also got Run Wild Fred. I'm pretty sure Rob James is probably going to ride him. So looking forward to Braeside. He's a horse that has a nice bit of ability. So he won well in a Cork National, 3.5 mile in a Cork National this year, and he's a horse. Maybe when he gets a bit of better ground, good jumper. He's a handicapper coming back into a novice chase, which is going to help. So I'll be hoping for a good spin around, and please God, he'll be in the money. And
in the Ultima, Brave Eagle entered for the Ultima?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay, we can put a line through that.
You can.
And finally, the Boodles. Your mum and your stepfather got a couple here, potentially. Saint Segal and Interne de Cibola. What can you tell us on those?
Yes, the Saint Segal finished second to Porticello in the Grade 1 Christmas Future Champions Juvenile Hurdle at Chepstow. Ran a really good race. He's a really smart individual, and I would probably say that even on his mark at the moment, he's a little bit unexposed. He's off a nice weight, 10.8 or something like that. And he's quite classy. I suspect he'll probably be quite a nice chaser in time. And then Interne de Cibola, he won the Grade 2 Triumph Hurdle at Cheltenham, or one of their Triumph Hurdle trials, sorry. And looked really impressive that day, powered away up the hill, and you sort of thought, right, we're cooking with gas. And then he ran in the race that Pied Piper won and completely flopped. He sort of bashed through, I think it was 3 out, and just like completely emptied. I'd say they're hoping that was just a bit of a one-off. He was a bit gassy that day. He sort of ran perhaps too free throughout the race, and I think he's just a horse that with time and experience, going back there again, he might be more relaxed this time. And hopefully will improve and not sort of have that sort of issue again. So, yeah, both smart. I mean, Nick's won the Fred Winter. They've always got those profile of horses, those nice juveniles. So they're always worth a bit of an each way, yeah.
So that's Tuesday, Brett. What does everybody say? What do they want boosted for day one of the festival?
Well, no prizes, to be honest, for guessing the answer. Honeysuckle, a whopping 77% of you voted to opt for those enhanced odds. So for the next few minutes, you will get even money for Honeysuckle to gain back-to-back victories in the Unibet Champion Hurdle. And interesting to hear the comments from the panel there. Of course, it could be very much a case of one-way traffic for the Irish mare, but we have seen a little bit of support for Thomas Oscar, of course, a winner of the new Unibet Hurdle up at Haydock, of course, for the Scottish stable. It'll be interesting to see how he goes at a big price, around 25-1. Just give you a couple of other movers on day one there, talking about the Arkle, a wide open 2 mile novice chase there. Magic Days has been very popular for the Henry de Bromhead stable. Now a 12-1 shot from 33s. And in the Boodles Juvenile Hurdle, Gaelic Warrior, yet to run for Willie Mullins, but has been backed very, very strongly. Now a 5-2 favourite, and you could have got 20-1 a week or so ago. But let's move on to day 2, of course, where the highlight is the Queen Mother Champion Chase, and we're going to give you the chance to opt for which horse you'd like to get the flash boost for. Currently, Shiskin is a 4-6 shot to give Nicky Henderson a 7th win in the Champion Chase, but we're going to let you have the opportunity to take 6-5. What about Tiger O, though? Can he go out with a bang? He's currently 7-4 to win the cross-country chase. We're going to give you 3-1. And then Facile Vega, who was very, very impressive in the bumper over at Leopardstown last time. Now a 11-10 chance, but we will give you the chance to take 6-4. So just to recap, Shiskin currently 4-6. 6-5 if you want to take those flash odds. Tiger O 7-4, we're going to push him out to 3-1. Facile Vega 11-10 out to 6-4. So go on to @Unibet Racing to opt to which horse you'd like to get those flash boots for. And don't forget as well, retweet that pin tweet to be in with a chance to win 2 tickets to the first day, the Unibet Champion Hurdle afternoon at the festival.
Brett, thank you very much indeed. Day 2 then, Nicky, Ballymore Novices Hurdle to start with. Bring us up to date on your 2, because I think you do have some news, some pointers. Walking on Air and I Am Maximus. Am I right in thinking neither will run in this?
No, I don't know. I think I Am Maximus might easily run, and probably will. Walking on Air won't. I think he's a lovely horse. He's only had 1 run over hurdles. He was very impressive. We'd just going to take our time with him a little bit. He might come back for Aintree, or we might try and get our own back at Punchestown or something like that. That's always quite good fun. Just you know, knocking their own soldiers over.
But I Am Maximus.
I Am Maximus. He is in the Coral. Yeah. I'm just sort of quite tempted by his weight in that. Now, somebody mentioned that he might not even. His weight's so good, he might not get in. He's not going to get in. He's probably. It makes it hard to see how he's going to win the Ballymore. The Ballymore is probably the weaker of the 2 novices, I think. Well, of the 3 novices, if you like, but. He'll run in one or the other. We'll just see how things go. We'll see what the races look like at the end of the day. That's an open race to Ballymore, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing. I mean, you can see some English horses that are good, and again, you're not quite sure which way Willie's going to play it. So it's very hard to read. I think we're just going to, if we run, we run. And
whichever one it is, what sort of horse is he, I Am Maximus?
He's definitely been a project this year. He seems to have got better for every run he's had. He put up a great run against Hillcrest last time out. And if he does go for the Coral, he has got that lovely weight. So let's see what happens.
As Nicky says, Jamie, it's hard to know what Willie Mullins is going to do. We've already talked about Sir Gerhard and Dysart Dynamo as regards Tuesday and the Supreme. What are your thoughts on what may be going from an Irish point of view in the Ballymore?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Willie Mullins does here, really, with Sir Gerhard and Dysart Dynamo. Like, whichever race they go for, let it be the Supreme or the Ballymore, they're going to be going there with nearly a favourite's chance. I know Ginto will definitely run. But then when you go back down through the betting, you know, you have to go a long way down the list to maybe find another runner. I'm not sure. Like it's really is a kind of a minefield. Like Ginto is probably the horse in Ireland that has done all the trials in the Lawlers at Naas. He was very, very impressive. Maybe the form has not quite worked out, maybe as strong as we'd like, but still. He can do no more than win, and that's what he's done. So, you know, I wouldn't really swap him for the Irish going into it. But I suppose Willie Mullins does hold the key here to see which one. I think when the races are going to split up like this, when the Ballymore is going to be maybe as weak as it looks, Willie Mullins will find it very hard not to move one of his better horses there.
That's why it's hard, isn't it, when you're a punter to look at this race, because you've actually got no idea who's going to line up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this stage, it's a guessing game, isn't it? And obviously the top 3 are very good. John Bon as well, and Ginto's there with a nice profile as well. So it's just a waiting game to see who goes where, really.
Let's go on then to the Brown Advisory Novices Steeplechase, sort of Gold Cup for novices. Dusart going in this one?
So I'll go 3 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this you've got this in
expect.
mind. What sort of race do you expect this to be?
I think it's probably as good a novice chase as you're going to see for a very, very long time. I think we have, this is Brave Man's Game,
Yes.
isn't it? And
Potentially Galopin des Champs, but we don't know.
that looked mighty impressive. And all the vibes that I hear from that is the strength. That's an Irish. It's going to be a fascinating race. Dusart, to be fair, look, he's a very good horse. Last year we actually finished up running in him only twice. He won the first time out, and then I ran him in the Grade 1 2-mile novice hurdle at Aintree, and he ran a very good race in that, but he hadn't got a clue what he was doing. Nor did I, obviously, because now we're going straight to 3 miles. So far we've run him twice, right-handed, and he's jumped into the car park twice. So some sort of sense has come into the game, and we've realised it's probably better to go left. Yeah. And that's about all I can give you to give you any encouragement whatsoever.
So
he's a very good horse. He will be.
He'll go straight then, won't he?
He'll go straight. We've been ironing things out. We've been trying to get things right. It's probably come a little bit too quick, and it might be a year too soon for him, and it might be a month too soon for him. But we're going to have to give it a go. It's a very, very good race. And Brave Man's Game has looked so professional that you can't see, whatever beats him is going to have to be good.
Before we get on to the rest, what about Dusart then? Going left-handed means he'll jump straight then, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, in all his schooling, he's been straight as a die, so I'm not quite sure why he's been doing it on the track. But it's been a learning game. He's been having to do all the donkey work himself. So it'll be nice just to have a bit of a lead and, term along a bit.
This is a difficult thing, Lizzie, because Galopin des Champs and Bob Bollinger may not go in this race, so they may go on Thursday instead. So again, this is what makes it hard. Ahoy, Senor, for Linda Russell, won well at Newbury before Christmas.
Yeah, sort of looked quite odd to watch in a way, I thought, because he sort of looked quite laborious at points, I thought, in that race. And then as soon as the race started developing and they quickened, it was like a different horse altogether. It was like, right, he's arrived. I think that he'll appreciate a better gallop. I think he'll appreciate a better race. The Towton isn't always the best sort of quality. But obviously he was beaten fair and square by Brave Man's Game at Kempton. Brave Man's Game has been really, really impressive this year, and his jumping is phenomenal. Even from the word go, Newton Abbott, the last summer when he made his debut, just looked like, wow, this horse, this is him. Like this is his game, and I think he's improved as a result. Thought what was interesting, John Dance was interviewed and said that he wasn't entirely sure that he looked his best at Cheltenham at the festival last year. He did slightly feel that of all the times that he turned up to the races, that was the day that he didn't look as good as other days. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's a really, really nice horse. And L'Empresse, I'm not entirely sure where he goes. I don't think anyone is.
Go the Turners novice, the first race on day 3.
Which
is the same as Bob Bollinger and Gallopin. So
yeah, it will be one or the other. I mean, I really like him as well. He won impressively at Cheltenham by 10 lengths. And then absolutely sort of scooted home in the Silly Hours the next day by 21 lengths. But again, you're just waiting to find out where the 2 top ones go, because I would take Brave Man's Game over Bob Bollinger, actually.
Would you?
Yeah.
Jamie, last year Bob Bollinger, you said, was a God-given certainty, and it was. So wherever Bob Bollinger goes, do you stand by that?
I haven't been convinced by Bob Bollinger's jumping this year. I think I've said it there in the last week or that. he looks more of a hurdler, in my opinion. Maybe the better ground will bring about an improvement in his jumping. Like, I've no doubt Henry and his team down there they wouldn't be going this route if they didn't believe that he could make a very good chaser. But me personally, I believe that if Honeysuckle wasn't going for a champion hurdle, I think Bob Allinger will be going back for a champion hurdle. I think he's that much speed. And he stays as well. So yeah, I think he is the best horse in that division. It's just jumping, whether his jumping might come under pressure. But for this, for the Brown Advisory, I can't see past Braveman's game. I love him. I really do. I think since he's gone chasing, he's been a revelation. His jumping is impeccable. I think he's a joy to watch over a fence. He's got that scope, but he's able to fiddle to the boards. I think Harry Cobden went down to the last in Kempton the last day, and he done a little dance on the toe board. It was beautiful to watch. So for me, I think this lad will win here, definitely. I can't see past him at all. I think if Harry can just get out there, make the run and go a nice even gallop, I think the trip is made for this horse. And I don't think much will get near him, really. When you go down through the list of what's going to be running here, they're all nice horses without being stars, but I think Braveman's game could be a star. Maybe one of Willie's, Capadano, when it got stepped up in a handicap hurdle in Punchestown last year, it won very, very well, beating an ordinary field, granted, but he was second to Bob Allinger in Punchestown this year in a Novice Chase, and he might be one just to give him most to do.
Well, we'll see. Paul Nicholls hopes and thinks that Braveman's game is the next Denman, so we will see. We will see more evidence. Let's go to the Queen Mother Champion Chase. What a race this is going to be. Ergamine and Shishkin. Nico, let's start with you with Shishkin then. After that amazing Ascot race, let's have a look at the odds there. Shishkin 6-4 on, and Ergamine 7-2. What are you thinking at the moment? How is Shishkin?
He's come out of the race really well, and he was fresh as a daisy on the Monday after. Everyone seems very happy with him at home, and if he can produce what he did at Ascot, then it's going to be a hell of a race.
Yeah, because that was some race, wasn't it?
And it was fantastic. It was just to be a part of it was an amazing experience.
What a head-to-head this could be, Nicky.
Well, I think the great thing about Ascot was everybody was sort of building up to it, and it had a tremendous atmosphere about it, and it lived up to it. And these sort of things don't normally happen. Normally, it's a complete flop. One falls over or refuses to start or does something stupid. It doesn't happen. It did happen, and it was in the race ebbed and flowed the whole way through until you got to a tremendous finish, and it was just a great race. I'd said to Willie earlier on in the week, the sad thing is the whole world's looking forward to this race. Everybody wants it. Everybody's looking forward to it, except for you and me.
Yeah.
And one of us is going to have to go down. Yeah. And, and the jockeys, to be fair, the same. But it was good, and it was good for racing, to be sure. But there was only a length in it, and it was tough. We would like to think that, Willie's sort of slightly leaning. I've seen him a fair few times since, and you got the feeling he's going chacun pour soi. He's saying that Argentine can't beat Shishkin. He can beat Shishkin. He was only a length behind it. You're going to have a completely different race run on a different track, on probably different ground. Now, the one thing we haven't touched on, actually, surprisingly tonight, is the ground. And actually, I was talking to John Pullen, who's the new clerk of the course there this year, on the way in this evening. And, I think he's actually got a very good forecast for him. He's liking it, but he's thinking it'll be on even the slower side of good to soft if he gets the rain that's coming. So, as we always know, it's never going to be quick. It'll be good to soft or softer. But I don't think he's going to have to worry about watering.
No.
But you say that, but amazingly, you get 4 or 5 dry days, that place can dry out so quickly. You know, he's actually saying, I want a drop, just to have to eliminate the possibility. But I don't think there's any possibility because the rain is forecast. So if we've got to assume that's what the ground will be like. So,
do you put Chaco Poursois in the same category as yours?
Well, there's no doubt what we saw in Dublin
Yeah.
at the festival there the other day. He is very, very good. Just because he hasn't performed twice in England, once he didn't run and twice he's been beaten. I think I'm right saying that. Doesn't rule him out. He's sort of somehow becoming Willie's favourite of the two. And I can't quite work that one out. I did have lunch with Willie on Monday, and he was very much of that sort of, he was batting Chaco Poursois. Not back.
He was pushing his
He was
credentials
pushing
forward
his,
more than Energamy.
you sort of got the feeling he was, yeah. So it's going to be cracky if we. Without telling us we were only taking on his second string at Ascot.
There's a bit of psychology going on
Yeah,
here.
exactly. I mean, we're playing games
Yeah,
here. Unfortunately, I've only got one ball. He's got 2. And so he is playing games. And there's going to be a tactical affair. The tactical affair could happen up front because they're both horses that want to be up there. So we've got to be thinking, and Nico and I haven't discussed this one yet. I'm sure we will, but I mean, how he's going to ride the 2 horses if they both want to be. They're hardly going to cut each other's throats, no. I'm sure of that. We've all got to think how we're going to sort the puzzle out. But you say that's a strong team of theirs. There are plenty of others in there, and I wouldn't underestimate the Skelton's horse, whose name escapes me at the best of times. Unibet.
Unibet neither one, so that's the 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, I just he's a very talented horse at his best, and you know, say we're all concentrating on Shishkins and Energenins and you know. I wouldn't. He could just be a surprise package in there.
I mean, Nico, you'd have great respect, of course, for everybody. But would you go down as far as Nume Negra then, in terms of serious contenders, as Nicky says, not just a?
And certainly, I think you even have to look at the Venetia horse. I think that's a big price. He came very close to us at Aintree last spring. But look, it's an open champion chase. You know, it's not just a match race.
Lizzie, what do you think? It could be an absolute cracker, this, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking forward to watching it from a racing fan point of view. I thoroughly enjoyed the race at Ascot, and for me, I'd love to see Shishkin win again at the festival.
Jamie, what do you see when you look at this? I mean, the fact that, as Nicky says, that Willie Mullins has sort of been saying, well, Chaco Poursois might be my sort of number 1 horse in this race. Is that psychology? What's that based upon, do you think? Oh, Jamie, we've lost you. Unmute, yeah. Unmute yourself, yeah.
Sorry. I think he's trying to play games with Nicky, maybe. I don't know. From what I've seen of Chaco Poursois when he travels to the UK, he hasn't performed. He didn't perform at Sandown. He didn't perform there last year. He's a 10-year-old now. I think it's time for, look, I'd never say never, but I think it'll be the young guns coming through this year, Shishkin, Energamine. You know, I can't wait. I really can't. I'm so jealous of Nico and Paul Townend to be going out in a race like this. It's a real race for the ages. It really is. You know, when you go back down through Pure Speed, Champion Chase, Direct Route, Edgerton Blue, Moscow Flyer, Well Chief, this is where you want to be. This is Cheltenham, and I cannot wait for this race. I do think, look at there's some packages, there's some surprise packages in there as well. I do believe Envoy Allen, he's disappointed twice in his life. Pulled up one day in Punchestown, where he was found to have a cracked bone or something in one of his legs, and also I suppose against Allaho in the John Durkin this year, but he was still only beaten 8.5 lengths in that race. He came back and he won his Grade 1 at Christmas, and I just believe he's a very, very good horse still, and I wouldn't be discounting him, but I really would like to see Shishkin win. I think he's a marvellous horse, and I thought what he did in Ascot, I thought was fantastic.
Good luck, Nico. It's going to be amazing. That really is. Let's wrap up Wednesday. Jamie, you've got American Mike in the bumper.
Yeah, American Mike in the bumper. I'm really excited about taking on the Willie. It could be a six set. I don't know. Willie could run 6 in it, I'd say. But look at we're going. I believe we have a very, very good horse. He's been really, really good before Christmas. He won in Down Royal, and it's a path that Gordon likes to go with. The likes of Sir Gerhard. Obviously, he got changed to Willie's last year, but Sir Gerhard and then by Allen. They went to Down Royal, won, and then they went to that listed bumper in Navan, and Julie obliged there. So look at I love this horse. I think whatever he does next week, he's going to be better when he sees a jump next year. But we'll take on Willie. We'll see where we're at. I'm glad he didn't go to Leopardstown to take on Facile Vega, because look at if he'd gone there and got beat, the bubble is burst. So we're going there. We'll stick our chests out and we'll go and take him on.
Good stuff. Let's just wrap it up. The Coral Cup. You talked about Iron Maximus. Go for the Coral Cup or the Ballymore. Call Me Lord in the Coral Cup?
Yep.
Yeah.
He'll go there.
Yep. And in what sort of shape?
He's in very good shape. But, I mean, he's a very consistent sort of person. He runs very good races. What's going to be fascinating again this year is the handicaps as we see them. I mean, we've all got the weights again. Can't work them out. You can't work out what's going to get in, what's not going to get in. Where we lost out last year was in the handicaps, and they were a whitewash. We didn't just not win them; we didn't finish in the first 3 by the ultimate. It's just going to be very interesting to see if the same game is are they simply better handicapped? Are they simply better at getting them handicapped? At the moment, don't forget, we've got to the situation we're 12-4 up so far on our agreement, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to give them the bumper.
You're going to give them the
That's
bumper,
right.
yeah.
I give them the bumper. That's 12-5, because I think that Quevega's son that was something else.
Yep.
So
you give them the bumper to Willie there. Yeah.
I'll give them that. The Coral will. Now we're into the handicaps. You're into anything, and it's just who's got what in hand. I have no idea.
Brett, what have we got boosted then for Wednesday? What has everyone said?
Well, no prizes really for guessing who, of course, you will have voted for to get those enhanced. So Shishkin, now 6-5 for the next 10 minutes or so. So make sure you go on to unibet.co.uk to avail to that special flash boost. Let's just give you a couple of movers though on day 2. You just touched there on the Coral Cup, a fiercely competitive handicap, and no surprise that a few of JP's horses have been backed in the race. Compron has been quite popular, of course, a winner of the Unibet Persian War at Chepstow earlier on this season, a 12-1 shot for Philip Hobbs, and also dropped the anchor. You may have seen that horse run well in the county hurdle last year behind the likes of Edward Stoner and Third Time Lucky. That now a 7-1 chance from 14s. I think about £5 lower as well than running last year. And Madman's Game has also been popular in the bumper, another runner or potential runner in the race for Willie Mullins. Now let's move on to the flash boost for day 3. We've touched again on where Bob Ollinger may go, but let's just assume he runs in the Turners. He's currently 11-10. We could push his price out to 6-4 for you. Allaho, can he gain back-to-back victories in the Ryanair? He's 8-13 to do so, but we're going to pop him out to 11-10. And what about Florin Porter, another horse bidding to retain his stayers hurdle crown? Currently 11-4 with Unibet, but we can push that one out to 9-2. So Bob Ollinger out to 6-4, Allaho 11-10, and Florin Porter 9-2 to gain success in the feature race on day 3 of the festival.
Brett, thank you very much indeed. On to day 3. The Turners Novice is a hard one to talk about because actually, really, Bob Ollinger, Galopin des Champs and L'Empresse could well be going in that or in the Brown advisory. So that's just one to keep an eye on to see when the declarations are when it gets to that one. So why don't we talk about the Ryanair? Mr. Fisher and the Ryanair?
Only if it was very good ground.
Oh, it's very good ground.
It
Okay,
would,
so
it
the
would,
forecast,
it would nearly
yeah.
want to be, ferocious drying winds and the watering system breakdown.
Yeah.
He's a very good horse on good ground. I think I'd be in favour of keeping for Aintree, wouldn't you, Nico?
Yeah.
Fisher.
Mr. Fisher for Aintree if the ground is,
I'd be keeping him for that, yeah.
So as you can see, Allaho is the 13-8 on favourite and justified, Lizzie, for you?
Yeah, I think so. One Ryanair. I think you almost have to go back and re-watch that to really appreciate the sort of devastation that he caused. Jumped really well, travelled beautifully, beat good horses by 12 lengths, and only 5 of the 11 runners actually finished. Paddy Mullin said in an interview recently, if he could have one ride all week, it would be him. And it was a 2-horse race by the top of the hill. That was Min that was sort of just about managing to cling onto his coattails, and he ended up pulling up as well. He's won both of his starts this season, beating Janadil by 2 lengths in the John Durkin, beating Fakir Duderie, 12 lengths in the horse and jockey, and then sort of awkwardly everything below him. Obviously Energumene, Plutarch, Chacun and Poursoir aren't particularly aiming for that race. Conflated is an interesting one. Obviously sprung a bit of a surprise winning the Irish Gold Cup. But I kind of think that maybe that was a slowly run race where an injection of speed, I think it was 3 out from Davy Russell, he kind of caught them on the hop a little bit, and then they couldn't quite peg him back. So I think that's... And also I think that because it's just a bit awkward. He jumped much better that day than he had previously. But my question mark about him would be, will he jump as well at Allaho's 2.5 speed as he did in the 3-mile Gold Cup? And then Shan Blue underneath him obviously fell at the 3 out in the Charlie Hall when looking like he was going to win. He's a smart horse, has won a Grade 1 previously over fences in the Quarto Star Novice Chase on Boxing Day at Kempton, but I don't know, he's got a bit of a strange profile, I think. It's difficult to really know what you've got. When he ran at Cheltenham last season, I thought that it was a bit of an unconventional ride, would probably be a fair way to put it, without being rude. I wasn't entirely sure what the plan was with that. I couldn't quite work it out, and then obviously he didn't quite get home. So he's got a bit of a strange profile. It's difficult to really know where to place him, especially as we've not seen him since October, is it, Charlie Hall? I think it's October.
So Allaho, the one to beat, 13-8 on in the Ryanair, that's for sure. Let's go to the Stayers Hurdle. What an interesting race this is, Nicky. Won it a couple of times. Well, you've got Champ back from Gold Cup to the Stayers Hurdle. Talk us through the thought process there.
The crux to the whole of him is not just his jumping, but actually his structure. And he sort of wasn't terribly well put together through his back. And Nico gave it the most amazing ride in the Game of Spirits as our prep race for last year's Gold Cup. And it was so good that I think actually the horse put too much into it. When he got to Cheltenham, he couldn't leave the ground because he'd actually hurt himself doing what he'd done in Newbury. Only 3 weeks before, because the Game of Spirit comes quite quickly on top. We've come back over hurdles, and just to try and get him off the ground, he's had further back surgery, and try and keep the jumping down to a minimum. Ascot in the long walk, I thought we were going to win it with Buzz, who fractured his pelvis the day before, and then Champ turns up. We were always going to run him, but only we thought to have a nice time. He flew round. and his jumping and his racing was absolutely fantastic. If Champ is back to that, then he can win this. But I've got to say he was disappointing in the Cleve. He didn't jump the same, he didn't travel the same. Paisley Park was remarkable. Fair play to Emma. I mean, he's been a long time since coming back. And then he gives us 20 length start as well.
Yeah.
and beats us. But, not making excuses. I don't think Champ he wasn't anywhere near the same horse he was at Ascot. Now, I'm trying to get him back to Ascot with I need a following wind and an awful lot more. But we're just getting little shoots of. Again, watching the Dublin Festival, I couldn't make head and tail of that 3-mile hurdle. Something seemed to slip through and get 20 length start over there. There was another one over there that was trying to escape. I'm not sure who got the best of the start, but it certainly wasn't a level break, was it?
No.
I couldn't work it out at all. So I give up on that. Jamie, you'll have to fill us in on what you make of that. I think they are good horses. You can't get away from last year's winner.
No, Flooring Porter, yeah.
Flooring Porter and Philip's horse. Hobby's horse.
Time Hill.
Time Hill.
Tyne Hill.
Yeah.
They're all consistently good horses. I think this is wide open. Yeah.
Jamie, do you look at that? Quite wide open. This is, Paisley Park, a remarkable comeback, a 2019 winner. Champ, as Nicky says, Flooring Porter, Tyne Hill. What do you say?
Yeah, it really is a muddle at the minute. I believe that Flooring Porter is probably the one to keep on side here. I thought what he did at Leopardstown at Christmas. Classical Dream is a funny horse. Obviously, he was very good. 2-miler, won a Supreme. But he hadn't run for a while and came back to Punchestown and was very, very good. And then he hadn't run. That was his first run of the year then in Leopardstown. And he's disappointed since in the Galmoy behind Royal Kahala. So I don't know, is that horse better fresh or what the real story is with Classical Dream? He, like, a lot of things seem to have to go his way. He got an absolute freebie out the gate in Leopardstown against Flooring Porter, and I don't care what anyone tells me, but that was the winning of the race. Flooring Porter was on the back foot straight away, and I thought it was a remarkable effort for that horse to get as close as he did after what happened. So I'm going to keep siding with Flooring Porter just on the back of he's still a young horse. He's only a 7-year-old and he might still be improving. I know he's quirky. He does have those quirks. He had no crowd last year. He's going to have the crowd to contend with this year. He can boil over a little bit, but I just think he might be the one to keep on side. As I say, the English farmer, it's just a muddle. What Paisley Park done the last day, getting left 15, 20 lengths and still winning, it doesn't make sense. And, maybe they will come back and turn around a bit of form. Tyne Hill was obviously second behind Champ in Ascot, but it's a muddle. So I'm gonna keep Flooring Porter on side.
What do you say?
Yes, it is a nightmare, isn't it? But possibly one of the most interesting renewals of the race as a result. Flooring Porter, I think I probably would maybe stick with him, but Time Hill, I thought his run at Auteuil was perfectly respectable. You have to remember that a lot of French horses obviously are still, that's almost the end of their season, that Auteuil meeting. So they'll have all been fit, ready, and that was his seasonal debut, so I wouldn't be worried about that. And they were obviously happy enough to say after the long walk, like, right, that's it, we'll wait now. But yeah, you can make a case for all of them. even down to horses like Melon and Sporting John. You know, you can make a case for them if they were to run in that. Also Royal Kahala as well. So, I mean, you could literally spend all day talking about this race.
And
so much.
the other horse
Yeah,
and another
absolutely,
horse,
and so much form over links. And but I think I would probably stick with Flooring Porter. I think. But I might change my mind in 5 minutes.
Near the time. Nico, you've got a ride here. Song for someone.
Yeah, for Tom Simmons and Lady Gibbings. He's a solid Grade 2 performer, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can step up into Grade 1 over 3 miles.
But you look at it, as we've all been saying, that it's quite not much of a muchness, but it's quite hard to pick out an outstanding horse, or is Flooring Porter that outstanding horse?
Incredibly open and very competitive, and yeah, let's see.
Let's see, absolutely. Jamie, let's go to the Kim Muir. You've got a really good record in this one. Smoking Gun, you're on for Gordon.
Yeah, Smoking Gun. I'm looking forward to this horse. We got him. He was the Jig and Sound draft from Joseph O'Brien and Gordon, and Mouse O'Ryan picked him up, and he's been going quite well. I thought his run the last day when he won the Porterstown and Ferryhouse was a good run, and he's just maybe what this race. He fits the bill for this race. He's an old handicapper. He's loads of experience, and we know he'll stay. That the race in Ferryhouse was 3-5. We know he stays well. So I'm really looking forward if he can be tagging onto them down the hill. Yeah, I think this horse could run really, really well.
You've got Mr. Coffey and Janica, both likely to go.
Well, the old Jamie Codfish over there. He's got loads of experience. He's been round it 10 times and he's done this, that and the other. That's probably what you need in the Kim Muir. Yeah. We're exactly the opposite. We've only had 3 runs.
Yeah.
The trainer's been very, very subtle here. This horse blatantly wants to go left-handed, and I've run it right-handed 3 times. And it has jumped violently left-handed all 3 times. Nico's ridden him. He is a good horse. He's our sort of darky for the little the each way. Yeah, he's a bit more than that. I think he's got a good chance.
So which one's this, Mr. Coffey?
Mr. Coffey.
Mr. Coffey,
yeah. But as Jamie says, you know, you've got the very, very experienced horses. We're running a novice. He's a maiden. Well, he's not. He's a maiden over fences. His last run, he was second in a Grade 1, but I have got to admit that he probably was nearly a fence behind. He wasn't. He ran a very good race over 2.5. He's getting his 3 miles for the first time, and he's going to go the right way round. Trainer error has been sort of ironed out.
Rectified, yeah.
Mr. Whaley Cohen is on board.
Yeah.
He knows his way round, and we've always liked him. I mean, he's a good, solid person. He broke the open ditch in front of, the last one at Sandown, first time round. You have never seen a hole in a fence like it.
I think it was rotten anyway, I think.
What?
It was rotten anyway.
It might have been rotten, but I mean, this is a tank of a horse. And he just burst through it like that. And it was like Moses. He just parted it and galloped off, didn't he?
Yeah.
Never blinked. I mean, he really did break it. Yeah. He's solid. He's got a good each-way chance. Yeah, of course he has.
Let's wrap up the rest of Thursday then, because you've got a few others there in the Potemps. Nico Millgreen?
Yep, he ran a cracking race at Haydock last time out. Nathan Brennan, our conditional, rode him and gave him a really good ride. He's got form over round Cheltenham over 2.5, and I think he'll appreciate stepping up to 3 miles.
3, you've got possibilities in the plate handicap.
Yes.
Falco Blitz, Fusel Raffles, Pistol Whipped.
Pistol Whipped, I would think, yes.
Yep.
I'd love to run him in what's my dad's memorial race, but he's not a 2-miler. He's the only one I've got in it. He's only in it for that reason, mind you. Fusel Raffles, on good ground.
Right, so look at the forecast.
Yeah, otherwise we'll keep him for entry. And Falco Blitz, he needs a small field. And I can see this race cutting up to be about 4 or 5 runners, can't you?
So that would be good news, yeah.
He does need small fields, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We'll probably keep an eye on it and see. He could easily run, but he is better. You know, something like Kempton on the Saturday might be a better place for him. In which case it will be pistol whipped, I would think, to be the most likely runner. It's very competitive.
And Galahad Quest, Lizzie?
Yeah, a lovely horse. A very consistent horse, always runs a good race. And you have to feel a bit for him because he's sort of not quite been able to actually really bring home a big trophy despite running well in big handicap chases. He's been round Cheltenham plenty. He did win a juvenile hurdle there early in his career. But yeah, he's a nice sort of consistent horse, and you'd like to think that, he might finally be the bride. But I think this might be again, another little bit of a tough ask.
And finally, the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. You've got a horse with no name and Tweed Skirt potentially.
Yeah, I think they're both run.
Yeah.
It's open. They're 2 pretty decent mares that have done very little wrong. They've been consistent. They've been placed in listed races. They probably haven't quite won them. They might be a titch optimistic, I must admit. But having said that, they're 2 lovely mares that horse with their name will probably get a stud at the end of this. But Tweed Skirt's a lovely mare with a future. They both are. They're nice. I won't tell you they're going to win, but they've got sporting owners that want to give it a go.
Yep. Couple of nice horses to ride.
Yeah, very much so. It'll be a sort of toss-up between the 2 of them. But they're nice.
So what do we got on Thursday then, Brett?
Yeah, so just to give you the results for the poll for that flash boost, no surprises for guessing once again, it was Allaho. So make sure you take advantage of taking 11 to 10 for him to gain back-to-back victories in the Ryanair. A couple of movers for you on day 3. The Glancing Queen's been quite strong in that plate that you were just alluding to there. Now an 8-1 shot for trainer Alan King. Of course, she has got some good form around the track. And also Frontal Assault in the Kim Muir. Real strong market leader here. 4-1 was 25-1 a couple of weeks ago, so real strong support for that one. Now moving on to the final day, of course, this is what the jump racing season is all about, highlighted by, of course, the Boodles at Cheltenham Gold Cup. But it kicks off on the final day with the Triumph Hurdle Race, and Vauban, who was very, very impressive at the Dublin Racing Festival last time, is currently 6-4 to win the Triumph. But if you want to take advantage of our flash boost, we're going to pop him out to 2-1. What about A Plus Tard, though? Can he go a place better than last year in the Gold Cup? He's currently 100-30. We'll push him out to 9-2. And what about Galvin, of course, who beat A Plus Tard in the Savills Chase last time? A 7-2 shot to win it at the moment, but we could push him out to 5-1. So Vauban out to 2-1, A Plus Tard 9-2, Galvin out to 5-1. Go on to @Unibet Racing to post your vote. And don't forget as well to retweet that pinned tweet to be in with a chance of winning 2 tickets, yes, 2, to Unibet Champion Hurdle Day on day 1 of the festival.
Brett, thank you very much indeed. Let's go to the final day, the Friday then. Jamie, let's start with you with the Triumph Hurdle. This looks like an Irish dust-up, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does. I suppose Vauban was very impressive the last day in the Grade 1 at Leopardstown. But I just love this Pied Piper. He's a real beast of a horse. He beat Vauban in Punchestown on which was their both starts, or was their first start for both horses. So I can't. Willie has said that Vauban has improved, but it's quite obvious to see that Pied Piper has improved as well with his display in Cheltenham the last day. And I'm not going to look too far past Pied Piper, to be honest. I think he's a very, very good horse.
Yeah. Does it look like that to you? You haven't got a runner, have you, in the Triumph?
I haven't, but I couldn't agree with Jamie more. Yeah. I mean, at Cheltenham that day, he was different class. I'm absolutely delighted to hear that he hasn't been thrown into the Supreme, to be honest with you, because there was talk of that.
Yeah.
I'm very glad he's staying here. I mean, I've watched the others in the Dublin Racing Festival. To me, Pied Piper was the standout horse. I don't think, sadly, I don't. There's one or two. Gary Moore's got. I mean, there's some reasonable horses. It's never looked if there was a top class juvenile in England this year, and it's always looked Ireland's all the way. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. What is it? Vauban Pied Piper there in the betting and the triumph. The county hurdle, Lizzie, what are your thoughts on this? Your mum's got Balco Saint as a possibility?
Yeah, hopefully he'll get in. He's also entered in the boys' race, the Martin Pipe. So it's obviously a toss-up. Whatever he can get in, he'll run in. But he's a really nice sort, won a listed before, so he's a nice horse.
You've got 3 possibilities in the county hurdle.
You've got Balco Saint.
Yeah, you've got Balco.
We might go Balco Coastal.
That'll be fun for the commentators, won't it?
That'll get him muddled up. Although it's just he's in the Imperial Cup as well on Saturday. We would probably do, having said that, I'd like to run Balco Coastal in the county. In which case we would run 3, which is him, First Street, and Broomfield Berg.
Yeah.
They're all novices, but these novices do just get a bit of a chance in these races. They're speedy horses. We tried Balco Coastal over 2.5. I think we just felt he came and won the race at the last, didn't he? Didn't quite get home.
Didn't quite see it out, I thought.
Yeah, so we'd like to come back to 2 miles. First Street is a complete sort of freak horse that never saw a flat race. And I mean, he'd been in training for 2 years, but never seen a race course when he came to us in the autumn. And you've never seen a horse progress like it. He's very talented. He's entitled to take his chance. He will. And Broomfield Berg is a very good horse, and I think we sort of rather fancied him over Balco Coastal in the Betfair, although finished the other way round. But the chances are I would quite keen to run them all in Cheltenham.
How talented is First Street? Potential ride for you?
He's a very good horse. I mean, he's won over 2.5. He's won over 2 miles. It's going to be a very difficult decision to make.
Okay, so that's the county hurdle, the second race. The Albert Bartlett Novices hurdle. Jamie, Manella Crooner in this, and Staghorn as well, mentioned as well in dispatches.
Manella Crooner is not much to look at now, to be honest. He started off in humble beginnings with us. We went for a bumper in Sligo. He won there, and then we went to Punchestown for a winner's bumper, and he won there. And usually Gordon, might keep him, maybe for bumpers if we thought he was going to be a real smart bumper horse. And so he went hurdling, and he's kind of just improved. I thought his run behind Manila Cocooner the last day was mighty good. I thought Danny Mullins gave the winner a really good ride. He kind of just set the fractions in front, and look, at maybe in time it'll turn out that he was on the best horse, but it just looked like he got a little bit of an easy time at the front of affairs. So look, at this horse kind of fits the bill for it. He's improving. Henry de Bromhead's Journey by Me, a Mahler horse, he's done not much wrong either. Won his point to point quite impressively, and looks like he's going to stay the trip. Strong stayer. There's a horse of John McConnell's that I quite like, a Black Sun Bellamy horse. I think he was over in Musselburgh and won a trial up there, a lad called Bardenstown Lad. Good hardy horse, and sometimes this race just can throw up a horse that has experience and, will kind of take a bit of hardship and stay.
Okay, well, listen, I'm aware of the time and we want to get some questions in. So let's go to the Gold Cup and get into this before we take your questions. Before I get on to Nico and to Nicky, obviously with Chantry House, Lizzie, what do Where's your eye immediately alight when it comes to the Gold Cup?
I'm sort of all for A Plus Tard. I thought his performance at Haydock was really impressive, and I didn't really feel that him being beaten by Galvin was too much of a negative. I felt that Galvin kind of got there too late for him to really offer any real response. This division's quite strange, I think, because some of the races have kind of not really worked out in the way you think they would, some of the sort of obvious Gold Cup trials. So you're kind of almost the best bit of form, I think, is actually going back to last year's Gold Cup. Minella Indo's looked a little bit sort of inconsistent, better run last time, finishing second, admittedly. And he loves Cheltenham. You know, that's somewhere that he's actually run his best races. A case can be made for Galvin, as he's looked the improver. A case can be made for Protectorat as well, I think. The Dan Skelton runner ran a really good race up at Aintree. It was a Grade 2, won by a long way. Yeah, it's a fantastic race this year. I think it's a really nice, deep race. In my heart of hearts, like, I'd actually love to see Albion Photo win. I just would love to see that bit of history sort of being repeated, the 3 Gold Cup wins. He's still fairly lightly raced for a horse of his age. I don't particularly see his age as a negative. So yeah, that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of my thoughts of the Gold Cup.
Well, it just shows what it is. Jamie, I mean, you've ridden Galvin before, haven't you? How much do you like this horse?
Yeah, I really like him. He would have been my ride last year in the amateur race, only for we couldn't go. So he's a horse I've been keeping a close eye on. I rode him in Down Royal earlier on in the year. He was second behind Froden. We actually thought he was going to be our national horse for this year. And look at, he's kind of just improved to be a Gold Cup horse. I don't know, has he improved enough? But the way he is, I can't see him being out of the first 3 or 4. I think he's a very, very solid chance. He's on the upgrade again. And yeah, but like as Lizzie said, you can make a lot of cases. I don't know about A Plus Tard. I don't think he stays. He'd every chance to win at Leopardstown at Christmas, and he didn't stay. And that's what you need to win a Gold Cup. And that's why Minelenda beat him last year. He holds his best form for Cheltenham, and you know, I can see him really coming to the fore again at Cheltenham. And I think the crowd will light him up again. He's a lazy kind of horse. But I'd love to see Chantry House run well for Nicky. He's a horse that we had at home a few years ago before he won his point to point, and been love following his progress. And I hope he runs a big race for Connections as well. I think Minelando will probably win the Gold Cup again.
Into about 5-1. What about yours then, Chantry House, which won on some sticky ground, didn't it, at Cheltenham the other day?
I think first of all, it's very interesting what Jamie was saying there. Lizzie said early on, I've thought all year A Plus Tard looked the most likely sort of Gold Cup winner in what is a very, very open year. There is no standout. And we could argue here all night as to what you're going to think. So it's very interesting what Jamie says there, that Minella Indo is the stronger stayer, the truer horse round Cheltenham, and that is interesting because I thought A Plus Tard was the all season he's been my idea of what would probably take the most beating. I mean, assuming that we're going to win anyway, but I mean, you know, by the by. It is wide open. We've had a sort of slightly funny year. We won a hugely competitive 2-horse race at Sandown before Christmas, where he never saw the other horse. Went to the King George, which was sort of a write-off. Forget it. I can't tell you he was hugely impressive in the Cotswold Chase. He got the job done. He beat a horse we know quite well in Santini, who you have to remember was actually second in a Gold Cup. So it might not, but it's great that Jamie rode him. You rode him in his point-to-point, didn't you, Jamie?
Chantry House, yeah, I did, Nicky.
And you spotted him as a future Gold Cup winner there and then, I think I remember hearing.
I think whatever point-to-pointer I win on, I think they're going to be an aspiring Gold Cup horse. So,
the only thing I can say is he wasn't earth-shatteringly inspiring in the Cotswold Chase.
But the ground was sticky, wasn't it?
It was sticky, and it was but it just wasn't. We've done a few we've tinkered like one's always going to tinker if it hasn't gone right, and I've got reason to believe we're in quite a good place at the moment, and he'll need to improve on the Cotswold form if you like. Otherwise, Santini's got a very good chance of beating us. Santini will win the Grand National. At least that's what I've always thought he would win. But Chantry is in good shape. He looks fantastic. And if we have got this right, we can improve. Better ground might help him. It's in a mix of a whole. You can take 10 horses out of this and still not get the winner.
Yeah.
It's wide open. Consequently, they're all going to run. It's going to be very competitive, and may the best man win.
there's no pace. There's no confirmed real pace in the race either. Usually you have Native River there that wants to try and force a bit of pace for everything. So is Minalenda going to
supplement Shishkin?
Yeah, you could do that.
Nico, what do you say
won
about
a point to
Chantry
point.
House in the race?
Yeah, he won a point to point, Nicky, so he would stay.
Could do.
Well, from what I see at home and what I feel at home with Chantry, I think there's going to be we're going to see a bit of improvement from that Cotswold run, and that will certainly put him in the mix, I think.
Let's just quickly finish off, Jamie, with your thoughts on the Foxhunters before we wrap up with all the boosts and everything.
Look, at Billaway has been there a couple of times and got beat. They've put cheek pieces on him this year. He looks the standout, but I'm going to go for Winged Leader. David Christie is a massive point-to-point man over here in Ireland. He runs a lot of these horses, open kind of horses, and goes for Hunters Chases. And I think it'd be huge for him and for point-to-pointing in Ireland if David Christie could go and win a Foxhunter. He's young, so he might have a chance there.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for that, Jamie. Right, Brett, let's wrap things up from your end with the poll and who's won the Twitter competition for Tuesday's tickets as well.
Yeah, cheers, Mark. It was actually quite competitive with that little poll for our flash boost there. A lot of people keen to take those enhanced odds for Vauban in the Triumph, but it was Galvin that you voted for to get those best odds. So Galvin, 5-1 for the next 10 minutes or so. Make sure you go onto the website to avail to our exclusive offer on unibet.co.uk. A couple of movers on the final day. Journey With Me has been very popular in the Albert Bartlett for Henry de Bromhead. Langadan, you heard there from Nicky with Balco Coastal, who's engaged in the Imperial Cup. Well, Langadan is favourite for that race at Sandown on Saturday. He's been very well backed to win the Martin Pipe on the final day as well, of course, and collect that big bonus. We've been top prize for quite some time for Albion Photo, of course, a 5-1 shot, but to regain his Gold Cup crown. And Vienna Court has been quite popular as well in the Mayor's Chase, a 14-1 chance from 16. Now, of course, what you all want to know, don't know about the movers, who wins those tickets to Unibet Champion Hurdle Day. Thank you to all of you for retweeting at Unibet Racing, but the lucky winner is Neil Weaver. So well done to you, Neil. Make sure you get in touch with us via Twitter and we will arrange for you to get those tickets because you will be heading to Prestbury Park. Will you be there, Mark, all 4 days, or are you going to be watching from the TV?
No, I've got to do some work, but I'll be there Wednesday, I hope. But too many other things getting in the way before then. But I will be watching and listening, and I'll be there on Wednesday for sure. So well done to whoever won those for Tuesday. That's going to be great. Thank you for your questions. Let's whip through a few of these. Nico, are you as confident on Constitution Hill heading into the Supreme as you were with Altior at the same stage?
Again, Altior's race at the time was very competitive too and open, and I guess we're hopeful.
Nicky, where does Dame de Compagnie run next week?
She'll run in the Patemps final.
In the Patemps final. Jamie, in the Patemps, what is Gordon Elliott's best chance?
With the Patemps, yeah, he's kind of still trying to figure out with handicaps and that. 1 second.
While you have it, Jay, you have a look at that. I'm going to ask Lizzie a question while you're looking it up. If you could ride any horse at Cheltenham, which one would it be?
Oh, I'm going to be really boring. I'd ride Honeysuckle and just hope that I didn't mess it up.
Fair enough. Jamie, got Gordon's best one in the Patemps?
Just not really, no. I think Sarah de Burle is going to go for the stairs, so I'm not really sure what he's got lined up for that one.
Nicky, what are you going to do with John Bon and Constitution Hill next year? Could one stay hurdling?
They both look like chasers to me. It's a little bit like when we had Altior and Bouvetard, and it was blatantly obvious they were going to walk straight into each other over fences. They did. Bouvetard won 2 chases before we switched him back because we realised what was going to happen. With these two, they're both capable of going up in trip. They're both chasers in the making. I'd be surprised. Let's just see how the champion hurdle and everything maps out this year. If Honeysuckle wins on the bridle again and we're going to walk straight into her, we might say, I would think that they were both pointers. They're both going to stay. I think they go chasing.
Jamie, are you going to try and make all on American Mike to run the sting out of the favourite?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I need to. I think I'll just ride a normal race and see what unfolds.
Another one for you. What about St. Sam in the Arkle?
He's been hit and miss this year, really. No, he's been too hit and miss for me now this year. Obviously, no, I couldn't have him.
Lizzie, who wins the Albert Bartlett on the last day?
Hillcrest. I just think that he's a really nice horse. Think that perhaps his less fashionable connections have meant that people have been a little bit slow to really see him, but his latest run, I think, really cemented his position and really stamped his authority in that division.
Let me finish by asking all of you then. Nico, give us a handicapper each way for next week.
Oh, I wouldn't know where to start.
Lizzie, would you know where to start with that one?
Editor's Ajit in the Grand Annual, course form. Really like him. I think the fact that he's a front runner will be a benefit, and that will keep him out of the messiness and any sort of traffic problems. And maybe Imperial Alcazar on the Ultima one on Trials Day has benefited from a drop down in trip.
And everybody wants a nap of the week. Is it Honeysuckle?
I think the bumper Vega is the nap of the week. Honeysuckle, yes. Yeah, they're the ones we have got no chance of beating.
Jamie, what's your nap of the week?
Pretty boring, Shishkin.
Well, there we are. Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Liz, you got a nap of the week?
No, I'm much more of a sort of each way, big price kind of person.
Bit of value. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to you for joining in. Thank you for your questions. I hope you enjoy next week. As we said at the start, it's going to be absolutely fantastic to have the crowds back, so enjoy the racing. Jamie, thank you to you in Ireland. Have a good week next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Lizzie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Nico, have a really good week next week.
Thank you very
crossed.
much, Mark.
Nicky as well. And get GB off to a good start in the first race.
I think, how we finished up tonight? we were about 21-17 to England, wasn't it?
I think
good.
It felt like that. It felt like that.
Yeah.
Thank you to you, and we are going to leave you with
rugby.
a Unibet feature of when Nicky met Alistair Down. Thank you.
I used to go to Fred Winter's every morning, ride out 2 lots.
What, straight on from the pub, or do you go home at all?
And we'd been at the sales for 3 days. I remember him saying he'd bought this horse, and I looked it up in my catalogue, and I'd drawn a picture of a boat. Well, the same people pitched their heads above the parapets again. You're running scared. All you're doing is keeping him for Cheltenham. You don't dare run him. Frank Mama sat in the manger. Celia then was just stood there, he pinned him to it. You know, I had to spend every morning and every night milking the goat. Well, if you've ever tried goat's milk, and when it's all over your clothes.
I've tried goat's milk, but I've never tried to milk one.
And I set about trying to find Tommy Carberry, and after 2 days, I had to put a sort of advert in an Irish newspaper.
If anyone has
Will
seen
Tommy
Tommy
Carberry,
Carberry,
will he please ring N. Henderson?